Ah, Christmas time. It's the time for giving, it's the time for receiving, it's the time for debt, heavy rain, and the same 5 Christmas TV specials on loop. What a wonderful time of year. It was during this wondrous month that many of the Spectrum magazines at the time would give away a unique Christmas-themed game of sorts, and what could be more Christmassy than Monty Mole? Now, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. See all those other Monty Mole games? The really popular ones that everyone adores? Yeah, I didn't have a great experience with those as a kid. I had one version of Monty Mole where you had to choose a set of items before you went on your adventure. Every time I booted the game up and selected my items, the Spectrum would crash, so I never got to play that one. The other Monty Mole game I had didn't even get that far. A load tape error would occur halfway through rendering the loading screen. So, it wasn't until December of 1987 that I actually got my hands on a Monty Mole game, and by St. Nicholas's gonads did I love this game. Having played through it again this week, I can totally see why I did. First off, we have this excellent but very un-Christmassy music. In fact, it starts off sounding like a Halloween track before lifting up into something a little bouncier. There's very little sound elsewhere in the game, and you'll be listening to this track throughout the entire thing, so it's a good job that it's pretty damn fine. It's not overly catchy, it's got just the right amount of depth to sustain you through Monty's relatively short Christmas journey. And make no mistake, this is an incredibly short journey. If you get halfway decent at it, the game can be completed in roughly 10 minutes, but it's got such an array of charm and variety throughout, it hardly matters. As with all Monty Mole games, you'll be immediately familiar with the first stage, an array of platforms, enemies, and incredibly shiny bits for you to pick up. What you may not notice initially is that there's a script slowly making its way across the table at the top of the stage, moving away from this creepy nerd head. Once you collect all the shiny bits, it'll start to rapidly move off the end and fall down. You'll need to position Monty underneath the script to catch it. This may seem a little odd at first, but as the game unfolds, you'll start to realise that the game actually pieces together a pretty clever narrative. The script that you've caught is actually the game's source code, and level 2 will see you placing the code into the computer, where it'll move its way through the machines and into the tape reels. Each stage is, in fact, the production of the game you're currently playing, and the magazine in which it's going to be printed. Now that is a pretty big bag of meta, if ever I've seen one. And it's a pretty damn clever idea for something that's been giving away for free on the front of a magazine. At the end of stage 2, you'll need to catch the tape reel, at which point you'll move to what is probably the least interesting and most frustrating level of the entire experience, mainly because it takes a bit of guesswork to get it right. There's not an awful lot of feedback on what you're doing wrong, so it takes a good while to fully understand the mechanics here. Firstly, you need to put the tape reel in this black square, but on doing so, immediately get away from it. If you try to walk past it, Monty will get chewed up faster than wet bread. Drop in the reel, head backwards, get past the masher, stand on this platform, and then just wait. You'll see the tape scrolling past on the conveyor belt at the bottom, and you'll be forgiven for thinking that you need to either get past them or wait for them all to stack up or something, but it requires precise timing instead. If you go too early, the tapes will, for some reason, kill Monty. Leave it too late and the tapes will get crushed by the crusher, which will also kill Monty for some reason, presumably from despair. You have to wait until the last tape is produced, of which there's no indication, you just sort of have to remember, and then drop down on it so that you and the tape hit the stack at the same time. Yeah, it's not an elegant solution. Now that Monty has his tapes ready to go, he needs to head to the Your Sinclair offices. Here we need to head down 3 sets of streets. The first street is fine, there's a limo that passes every now and then which makes Monty stop in his tracks. It doesn't kill you, but it is a pain in the arse, mainly because of this thing. The energy meter. Doesn't really affect you in earlier levels, but from this stage onwards it becomes a bit of a shit. If you take too long getting off this first road with the limo, you'll have no chance of making it to the end of this stage, so you need to get a move on. The second road simply requires you to jump over a couple of cars, and the last road, well, it all looks clear at first, but then... evil car, I should have known. This one is a little confusing at first. Walking past it doesn't work, jumping over it doesn't work. You have to just sort of inch toward it, it'll bite and miss you, and then you can walk past it. Apparently it only has enough diesel in it for a single bite. Now, we're in the Your Sinclair office, and I know I said that the printing press level was my least favourite level, but that's only because I'd wiped this one from my mind. This one takes a lot of experimentation to get right, and I'm not ashamed to say that I used save states to finally get the bloody thing done, and even then, I'm not entirely sure how I did it. There are very few collectibles on this level, but up top we have two people working on the Your Sinclair magazines. If they complete all the magazines, Monty will die. That's just how it is. I can't even begin to explain that one. The issue here is that one of the collectibles is on the other side of the magazine stack, and the magazines are deadly to Monty. This makes for an incredibly awkward jump under an extreme time pressure. Ignore the enemies, they won't knock off enough energy to kill you, but if you wait for them to move out of the way, the magazines will be done before you get there. Once you have the last collectible, you have to touch the magazines in a very specific way. That's about all I can tell you, because even rewatching this footage, I can't tell the difference between this version that kills Monty and this version that gets me to the next level. Right, okay, I never said the game was perfect, there are issues with it, but here, we're on the last level. Monty has to get all the magazines from the back of the lorry across a busy road and leave them in front of the newsagent. He's only a mole, so of course he can only carry one magazine at a time. Once we're done, we get this beautiful ending screen, replete with everyone's favourite Christmas symbols. Aid Edmondson dressed as Santa, Christmas cherry, and bedazzled green butt plug. Honestly, what more can you ask for from a free game? I still really enjoyed playing this. I've not played any of the other Monty Mole games, but I can categorically state that this is the best one that I've played. It's got action, it's got adventure, it's got bits that you've just sort of got to guess at until you get right. It was a wonderful Christmas gift in 1987, and it's a wonderful Christmas gift now.
Merry Christmas, everyone! It's Farmer Clive Christmas here, and I've been looking through my naughty and nice list, and I see your name right here. You know, it's not like in the old days. It's all done on computers now. We simply look at your browsing history and... Oh dear. Oh dear.